maybe I agree that NC State is going to lose this game. Actually, I'll go ahead and spoil it. I do think Tennessee wins this football game, but by how much? That's what I got to try to figure out because I like to bet these bad boys. So, as many people are saying that Tennessee's going to run away with this thing, we've got to kind of dig a little deeper and figure out how they can do that. Um, this was a good NC State defense last year, and it has been a good NC State defense the last few years. We'll go through NC State first and talk about some of their roads to victory here, and then there are very few. That's why I say let's start with NC State. Things have to go right. Things have to go very, very right for NC State. Okay, the defense has got to play like the defense that we've seen over the last 5 years. It didn't look quite as formidable the other day whenever they were playing Western Carolina, which, by the way, was not even an FBS team. It was an FCS team, right? They were able to throw the ball around on them, 240 yard passing. Ran the ball for a pretty good chunk, over 100 yards. That was really inexcusable and really pissed a lot of fans off that were in the stadium. Now, I have to tell myself, and I tell myself this every single year, things are not as good as they seem, and they're not as bad as they seem for a lot of these football teams. Unless you're Florida State, then it's really, really bad. But
it's bad.
Other than them, at this point, it's overreaction time right now. So let's get our head back out of the clouds and let's think about what NC State could possibly be. McCall situationally played one of the worst games I've ever seen him play last week. And I've been watching him a pretty good bit over his career there at Coastal Carolina. A legendary career there for him, really. You can see it there on your screen, over 10,000 passing yards, 88 passing touchdowns. This was a guy that prided himself on accuracy, and he wasn't, like 40% accuracy or anything like that, but it was the situational stuff. It was the throws when they really, really needed it that he was struggling with. And as the game went on, the pressure built more and more. Every time he missed one of those throws, you saw his hands go to his head a couple of times. I think he was nervous. I think this team had a really high expectations. I think they thought they were going to roll the football out there and win that football game. Maybe this was the best thing that could have happened for NC State before they go play what we figured to be a juggernaut in Tennessee. But really, Mason, the key to victory for me is Jordan Waters in this offensive line. That's the key to victory for NC State in this one to me. And this goes back a couple of years now. We've been talking about Tennessee Volunteer football. The catalyst to a win against Tennessee is being able to successfully run the football. Yes, you are going to have to hit a pass here. You're going to have to hit a big play there. But you've got to be able to run the football. You have to be able to sustain the run. And that is going to be really, really tough to do against this front seven. James Pierce, all those guys on the defensive line, those awesome linebackers. We're really, really high on that front seven of Tennessee. But if NC State's going to stand a chance in that one, that is the number one X factor in this game, is get Jordan Waters going early. He had some good numbers last week. It was all in the second half. They could not get him going early in the game. If you wait till the second half, you're not even going to be able to run Jordan Waters because you're going to be having to throw from behind. So you got to establish the run. You got to establish it early. Jordan Waters has got to get going, and then see if you can get some of these receivers, to make a good big play here and there. KC is the one. Okay, Kevin Concepcion is the one that is going to be trouble for the Tennessee defense to keep it. He's going to be trouble for every defense he plays. He's going to be trouble for every single defense he plays. He's ridiculous. Offense has the advantage, and then he has all kinds of advantages on top of, the ones that the offense has built in already. So he's just an absolute freak athlete. I expect him to have a big game. Let's see here. And defensively, Tennessee, it's no secret, is a very good offensive team. Can they stump this offensive line? That's what it boils down to me. They can't. They're not going to be able to stump these wide receivers. It's not going to happen. The secondary of NC State's not going to be able to lock these guys up. I don't think the front seven of NC State is necessarily, going to be able to lock up the run game, right? Can they figure out a way to push that offensive line around a little bit. If there's one question on the offensive line for Tennessee, for Tennessee, it's the offensive line. Cooper Mays there at center is kind of a hallmark piece of this offensive line. He should be good to go and healthy for this thing. Tennessee replaced some guys last year. We'll see how they hold up. Mason, what do you think about NC State in this one? It was a tough week to watch. They've taken a lashing nationally, right? Dropped way down in the top 25 polls. Ours as well. We just released it earlier in this live show. They dropped in ours as well. What do you think about NC State heading into this week? Everybody's pretty down on them right now, bud.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead if you want to see if you can work on the connection there just a bit. But yeah, looking at NC State, I think that when you look at what they did in 2023, right, this was a really good defense by ACC standards, by NC State standards, by my standards. Like, what the hell? Really good defense. I mean, 20.8 points per game, roughly 332 yards per game. 27.6% third down win percentage. That's really good. 17 interceptions. It's amazing. But they lost their leading tackler in Peyton Willis. They lose Savion Jackson. They lose Robert Kennedy. And they lose Shaheem Battle along with others. But those four are all NFL talents who are gone off of this defense. And I just feel like with an NC State team, with an ACC team, losing 4 NFL players off of your defense is a huge loss. And for whatever reason, we all thought, myself included, that Dave Doran was going to have this defense ready to roll, after losing 4 guys to the NFL. That's just not the case. It's just not realistic for the Wolfpack at this point. At this point in Dave Doran's career, to me, I think that's a bigger factor than people want to make it. I do like some players on this defense. I like David Vann. I like Sean Brown a lot at linebacker. I think that he's gonna have his work cut out for him with Dylan Sampson coming downfield and coming downhill onto him. And then I really like Aiden White, the cornerback, had 10 pass breakups last year. But one cornerback, one linebacker is not going to be able to contain Tennessee's offense. And I think that's kind of the point we've been making in this, in our previous preview and now this preview, is that Tennessee's going to score some points. So to me, when I'm looking at NC State's offense, that's where I'm kind of looking for a key to victory, right? I don't think it's going to come on the defensive side of the football. I think that they lost too much. Nico and Tennessee is going to be a little bit too strong. So on offense, the question becomes, can you establish the run? And you mentioned it, Mark, that is kind of the one area that I feel like is a strength for NC State, but it's kind of also a strength for Tennessee. So to me, if they do run the football, I think NC State's got a good chance of winning this game. I don't know if they're going to be able to. Now, I will say, if they, outside of Amari Thomas on the defensive line of Tennessee, they're kind of a defensive line that's built to rush the quarterback, and they're really good in a pass rush situation. That doesn't always equate to a great run-stopping team. But I'm not banking on that, right? I still feel like Tennessee's going to be able to stop the run. I'm just saying, as a unit, they're more known for their pass rushing ability, a little bit less known for their abilities against the run. Outside of that, yeah, I mean, get KC involved on some jet sweeps around the edge. Just try to find unique ways to get this man the football. I think he's a huge playmaker. If nothing else, he's a huge decoy, right? If you have him on the field, you got the defense's attention. So now you go to your big target like Justin Jolie, right? At 6'5", he's a former tight end that switched over and started playing wide receiver there and kind of plays both ways, kind of that hybrid big target guy. Can you get him involved? Can you get him involved in the red zone? Can you get him involved in some run blocking situations on a perimeter run? I think that's going to be NC State's key to victory. It's going to come from the offensive side of the football, and then on defense, can you take the ball away? Right. That's a big ask, but you're going to have to do that in this game. Special teams, turnovers. You're going to need some magic to happen in order to win this game, and unfortunately, that's kind of where we're at with Tennessee at this point in the season. We've got them in our top 10. I think they're there for a reason, and I think that they're there to stay. I think this is a team that's going to creep up into the top 5 if they take care of business against NC State.
Keys to victory for Tennessee, Mason. Very, very simple and much easier to come by if you're a Tennessee Volunteer than you are part of the Wolfpack in this game, I feel like. Run the football. As long as Tennessee's able to run the football in this game, all else is going to be just fine. Don't become one-dimensional in any kind of way. You don't want to put all the stress on Nico in this game. He's a first-year starter. He's not a true freshman, but he's still a first-year starter. I think Nico is going to do some amazing things. But let's just ease him into this. Let's let these running backs work. We saw tons of them last week. All of them getting work. Tennessee runs the ball over 50% of the time, and I think that they'll do it for about 55% of the plays in this game. I think they're going to run the ball. They're going to run it a lot, and it'll depend on that offensive line. What can they do? First and second down is so crucial for Tennessee, Mason. If Tennessee can get 3 yards on first down, it's all downhill from there. 3 yards on first down, it makes it to where you can take a shot on second down if you want to, and then you're still in third and manageable in this offense. I really used to kind of think a little differently. Over the last few years, we've talked about Tennessee, and we've talked about, at least defensively, if they give up a certain amount of rushing yards, they'll lose. We saw it in the Florida game last year. I had wrote it down somewhere, but Florida game last year, they gave up a bunch of rushing yards. They lose the game, right? Typically, whenever they lose to Georgia, it's over 150 yards rushing. When they've lost to Alabama, it's been well into the over 100 yards rushing. Can Tennessee hold NC State to right around 100 yards rushing in this game? Because if they do, they'll cover the spread, no problem, right? And then if Tennessee, on top of that, can run the ball effectively, they're really going to cover that spread. So for me, as far as this one goes, I won't hold back my picks any longer. I'm taking Tennessee minus the points here. I can't help myself. I feel like Vegas wants me to take Tennessee minus the points in this game. I really, really do. But I'm going to take the bait this time. And I'm going to bet Tennessee. This number surprisingly hasn't moved a lot, Mason. Aren't you surprised? I figured this number would have been at 8.5 already. I really did. I thought we were going to come back on today, and it had moved, and it hasn't. So I'm going to be part of that movement. Actually, I already am. Already bet that. So my bet's already placed for the weekend. Give me Tennessee. I just feel really good about this situation for them. This is I think a bad matchup for NC State. Can Tennessee control KC? That'll be a big part of it. If he starts to run wild in that secondary, then it's college football, and you never know what can happen. What are your thoughts and what's your predictions?
Yeah, I'm with you. I've got full confidence in this offense at this point. Under Josh Heupel, we've known him to be a little bit of a wizard, right? And the offensive coordinator, wearing the offensive coordinator hat. And I feel really comfortable with Nico. I think having him sit for most of his first year was huge. Now got a little bit of weight on him. It's time to go. It's time to go play and put yourself in contention to win a Heisman. He did that in the first week. I think he's going to continue to do that against NC State. I like Dylan Sampson a lot. I think that he's going to be a big factor in this game. How much is he going to get worked? We'll see. I'm anxious to see some of the backup running backs behind him as well, because they will be leaned on heavily as the season goes on. But to me, when you're looking at the game, what's the line at right now? Is it 7.5?
7.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it at 7. So I feel pretty good about that. I'm betting Tennessee I think they cover 7 pretty easily. I think this is a 2-score game when it's all said and done, if not worse. And I wouldn't stay. I would kind of stay away from the over under. I also feel that this is a game where Tennessee could just kind of smother NC State and just kind of hold them to 10 or 13 or 14 or 17 points, somewhere around there, and this game, the over not hit because of that. I like Tennessee's ability to score, but I don't feel as confident in NC State's ability, and I think that we could be seeing a really strong sign of a glimpse of a really strong defense for Tennessee this year. I have a lot of confidence in that unit and that side of the football, and I think that they finally complement the offense pretty well with the depth that they have on the defensive line. I think that I would stay away. I would lean towards the over. I'm staying away from that bet. I like Tennessee to win outright and cover the 7.5.